Hey crafters, welcome to Creative Moments by G. Have you ever created a peekaboo card? We are going to have so much fun today. We're going to create a peekaboo card that you can do so many different things with. So let's head down to the crafting table. Let's do this. Let me show you what I mean. Do you see these little peekaboo windows right here? That's what we're going to be making today, and it is such a fun card to make. So you can use a top fold like this, or you can go ahead and use a portrait fold like this. For our first card today, we're going to go ahead and use a top fold card. Now, the first thing you want to do is get you a mat that goes on top of this card. And we've cut this just as a first mat, and that's 5 1/4 by 4. But I want to remind you, all the measurements are going to be listed over on creativemomentsbyg.com under my blog. Now, you need to decide what size you want your openings. And we have selected 3 circle dies. Now, let's look at the sizes of these dies. And the only reason that we need 3 is that we're going to use this bigger one to create a frame. So we're going to put it inside the medium-sized one. So, but for the openings, we are just using these 2 sizes right here. Now, our circle on this one is 1 1/2. And then on the smaller one, it's about 1 1/4. But once again, you can make these openings whatever size you want. So let's go ahead and grab our circles and decide exactly where we want them. Now, the other thing you could do is you could make a bigger circle and make a smaller one. You just won't have a frame on this one because it's kind of large. So what we're going to do is we are going to place our circles about like this. Now, I want to have enough room for my sentiment, and I've already picked a sentiment, so we need about that much room. So I'm going to use this highlighting tape. It lasts forever, and it is such a great removable tape. It doesn't tear your card at all. So let's just go ahead and tape that together so that we can run it through our embossing machine. And I'll be right back. Okay, so we're just going to pop this out, pop this one out, and now we need to decide where we want our other opening. And I think we want it about right here. We need to keep it just far enough apart so that we can put a little frame on each one of these openings. So I'm going to put it about right there. And we are going to run this through our embossing machine. Now, what's so fun about this is that you can put these circles or these openings wherever you want on your top mat. We have our openings cut out. Now we're going to do something super fun. Go ahead and grab a piece of pattern paper that you want to show through these openings. And I just wanted this because I have some beautiful flowers that I'm going to let peek out of those circles. And we're just going to cut this down. And this is going to be just any kind of scrap piece of paper you have, but it's about 4 3/4, and I want my lines to go this way. So I'm going to cut my column at about 3 1/2, and then I'm going to cut the height of it about 4 3/4. Now, you might have a piece of scrap paper that would just work beautifully. I just wanted this design, and I don't have any scrap paper. So I just took a 6 by 6. Now look at that. It's going to go behind just like this. Isn't that pretty? Now to do this, we're going to set it up using some of our dimensional strips. But you could also just use dimensionals in the corners and just kind of place them around. but I wanted to just use the strips. It just makes it a little bit easier. But before we do that, we want to make sure and stamp our sentiment, because you don't want to try to stamp it when you have it up on dimensionals. You'll just make a mess. So we're going to open up our Night of Navy, tap, 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 and I'm just going to put my sentiment right here. So I'm going to straighten that out on my grid paper. Just look at that, so pretty. And now let me show you what I've done. I went ahead and I cut out some frames. And we all know how we cut out our frames. We simply grab our two circles, put them inside each other, just like this, line it up, and then we grab a piece of repositional tape and we just put it on the top. And now, once you use your embossing machine, you can just cut out that frame and you're going to end up with frames just like this, which is exactly what we need. So let's go ahead and lay these down first. We just put them right on our openings and it just makes it pop a little bit. Now you could always use another color, right? But I'm just using white on white. I'm going to lay this down. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is lay this flat, and I'm just going to bring in these dimensional strips. And I'm just going around the edge of my paper. It's almost like making a shaker card, but we're not going to make a shaker card. We're just setting it up just to give it some height. And now we're going to just add some glue right here on our card, because that's where we're going to add our patterned paper, just around it a little bit. And now we're going to lay that down. And let's see what that looks like. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. Oh my goodness, so pretty. Do you see how easy this card is to make? But it's so much fun. Now we're going to bring in our top fold and we're just going to take our strip off the back. That's what makes these dimensional strips so nice. Now we don't have to add any glue to it. We just take off the backing of our dimensional strips and we add it to the front of our card. Oh, and look at that, so pretty. Now we're going to bring in our flowers. I'm going to use 2 stamp sets, Hearts of Elegance and Hooray for Surprises, for the beautiful flower and then for a sentiment. So let's just bring in our Melon Mambo. And this flower is so pretty, so tap, tap, tap. I'm just going to stamp it. I just like it. It looks so happy. Look at that flower. Give me a moment and I'm going to cut it out. We have our flowers, and I also used that stamp set to cut out some of these beautiful leaves that we're going to add. So let's just go ahead and do that. Now, I think I want one of my flowers to come out right here. So you can just slip it behind just like that, because you still have a little bit of glue there. And that's why I like to use wet glue, because it allows me to do that, just to slip it in. And then on this one, I think I'm going to come up from the top. So we'll just put a little bit of glue right there. And I'm just going to slip it in underneath. Okay, now we're going to bring in some leaves. Now you may have to cut apart some of these leaves, but that's okay. Just going to snip it. Make sure it doesn't go over the card. And then we'll add some leaves right here. Maybe we'll even go out a little bit. And on this one, we're just going to add some leaves coming down, just like that. So let's just add a little bit of glue. Slip it under. Now look at that. So pretty. Oh my goodness. Such a fun card to make, but we're not done yet. We are going to add a few gems right here. And we're also going to add just a few little flowers, and let's go ahead and stamp those flowers. We're going to bring in some old olive to stamp some leaves. And look at that. Such a cute little peekaboo card that is so easy to create. But we're not done here because we're going to create another one. Now, I want to make sure and tell you, stay with us to the end because I have 2 cards to show you. Just some more variety that you can use for these peekaboo cards. Now, on this one, we're going to go ahead and use some sentiments from Layering Leaves and also mixed labels. And then we're going to use these cute little flowers, these daisies from Lifetime of Love. And we all have flowers, so use whatever flowers you have. Now for this card, I'm using this beautiful colored cardstock, which is one of my favorites. Pretty peacock. Look at that, so pretty. Let's go ahead and just do the inside map first. Let's do that one. Now, we have some flowers cut out. We have those little daisies, and I want to show you those daisies. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. So pretty. Now, I want to go ahead and use one of those daisies just right here, and then we're going to add just some leaves that we've already cut out, just like that, to make it pop. So let's go ahead and add some glue right here. I could see where I needed it. We will just add our beautiful flowers right there. And I'm going to slip my leaves right underneath it, just like that. Now look how pretty that is. So pretty. We're going to hold that and just snip around the edges. Just right there. We're going to leave it just like that. We're going to let that dry for just a second. And we're going to move on to the front panel. Now, remember what we said. We have to take our circles and we are going to just add them right where we think. Let's see, this would be good. Just about right there. And I'm going to get this one. And I'm going to cut out these circles using the cut and emboss machine. We're going to just pop this out. Pop this one out. And now we need to cut another opening right there. I love this design because it's so much fun. And sometimes we just want to sit down and create a fun card. Because there's so many things that you can peek out of these cards. So we're just going to put this right here. And we're going to cut out this opening. Now, once again, let's look at how we cut our frames out. We just nested those circle dies right inside each other, and then you grab your removable tape and you add it just like that. Now, this removable tape lasts forever. It gives you so much. And if you're interested in that, you can head over to Amazon and get it, or you can go to our Amazon store and it'll be there. But that's all you have to do. And once you run this through, you end up with these beautiful frames for your card. So let's go ahead and add those frames. Okay, we have our frames added. We want to go ahead and stamp our message before we use our little peekaboo images coming out of those circles. Now on this one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the very same one. So let's bring in our Night of Navy. Tap, tap, tap. And on our inside card, we are creating a different sentiment, and it is, "You're pretty wonderful." We're just going to hold it and let all that rich ink transfer. And look at that. Now, of course, a little tip when you're working with your stamps, try hard not to rock them. And that way you don't get anything around it. You don't end up with a little border, right? So we have our inside, we have our outside. And so now we just need our flowers. And I want to show you how I colored these flowers. So look at the different blends I'm using. I am using Calypso Coral, light and dark. I have the light Lost Lagoon and the dark Lost Lagoon for the leaves. And then for the inside of the daisy, I'm just using this peach pie. So the way I like to color is I flood my flower first with the lightest color. Now, let me show you another tip. We're going to go ahead. I went ahead and I cut these out. So they'll move around if you don't adhere them to something. So I'm just going to put a little bit removable tape, and I'm just to hold it in place. So now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to flood the flower with the lightest color. And now I'm going to come back in with the darker, and I'm just going to go over some of the lines, and I'm going to use my pencil nib to do that. Just to make it pop a little more. See how it adds the depth to it? Now we're just going to go over and do it a little bit on this one too. Little bit up here. And it just makes them pop just a little bit. We're going to bring in that peach pie for the center. And then we're going to come in with our lightest Lost Lagoon, and we're going to flood those leaves. Bring in the darker one, but this time use your pencil nib. It gives you more control, and we're just going over a few of those lines because the leaves are so small. And there we have it. Look how pretty that is. And that's how I got that design, that coloring on our flowers. So let's just move that to the side. We already have the inside perfectly colored and placed. So let's go ahead and add that to the inside of our card. Look at that, so pretty. Now we're going to take this, and before we add it, let's go ahead and add our flowers and our leaves. We have all kinds of leaves cut in different colors. We might want to go ahead and just put it under like that before we add this so we don't have to worry about slipping it under. And then we could add just a little leaf coming out like that. Wouldn't that be pretty? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's cut this off because we may want to use that later on. And we're just going to put a little bit of glue right here. Now you can also use tape if you want. We're going to just have him peeking out just like that. Look at that. Now we're going to add our leaf. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat, and I'm just going to put a little bit of tape from my tape runner. Just like that. And look at that. So pretty. Now let's look at how much we want to come out of, say, another one. Let's go ahead and put this one just like this and maybe add a different leaf coming out. Just like that. So we know how we want it, so let's go ahead and do another trick. Let's come in and bring our tape. Let's tape this to the back. We have it exactly taped together now. Now we can just add our glue right on the side. Slip it in our opening. Just like that. Now, if you want to give it some more stability, you can always turn it over and you can put a piece of tape there. It doesn't matter, no one's going to see it. And look at that. So easy to add our images before we put our mat down. But this is just another way to do it. Now on this one, I think we're going to have some leaves coming down. Just like that a little bit. So let's go ahead and get that exactly how we want it. Just like that, I'm going to use a little bit of tape on the other side. Maybe we'll just add another leaf coming down. Yes, I think just like that. So let's go ahead, add a little bit of tape. Lots of different ways you can add this, whether it's Scotch tape or just tape. Look at that. So pretty. Let's cut this little bit off. We're going to save these leaves for our next project. And I put them in a little dish so we have them. And now all we need to do is flip this over and add our dimensional strips. Now remember, you can add dimensionals on the sides if you want to do that. If that's what you have, use that. We just have some of these strips left over from another project, so we're using those. Now remember, we're not done yet because we actually have just a scrap piece of paper that we found that we really love, and look at that. We're going to put that on the background. So once again, this is a great way to use your scraps. So let's just grab our glue and just add it around in this area just to hold down that scrap piece of paper. Going to add it just like that. Press down and look at that. So pretty, And so much fun to create, right? So let's add this to the front of our card. Just want to make sure I have the same margin top to bottom, side to side. We want to bring in a few little gems that might be pretty. So, let's see. And look at this peekaboo card. Oh my goodness. Great way to use your scraps behind these openings. You can either add a frame or not add a frame. It's how much do you want to jazz it up? And there we have the inside. So looking at both of these that we made today, which is your favorite? Take a moment and leave a comment. Of the two that we made today, I don't know, but I kind of like this one better. But let's look at some other ones. Now, I showed you this one before. Oh my goodness, too cute. We have little Peter Cottontail popping out of one of these openings. We show his little cottage, his little garden. We have some little pots with plants, and we have a leaf coming down. So cute. Now look at this. He has his little friend swinging on a branch. So cute and so much fun. And finally, we have another elegant one. We just cut these flowers out of some patterned paper and let the patterned paper do the work for us. So much joy. And look at that. Once again, we cut the flowers out and added them to the corner. So what do you think about these peekaboo cards? They're so much fun to create, and sometimes we just want to relax and create a fun card, don't we? Well, we hope that you were inspired by today's card, and if you were, that you take a moment to give us a like, share, and subscribe and help us grow. We just appreciate you so much. And until next time, Maudie and I are wishing you lots of creative moments. Bye-bye.